Hey friends, Stone here from Mountaintop Kitchen. Today we're giving the classic Aussie Lamington a Mexican makeover. Fluffy sponge soaked in a rich, chili-infused tres leches, dipped in silky, spiced Mexican hot chocolate, rolled in golden toasted coconut, and topped with toasted pepitas. Sweet, creamy, and a little spicy. This one's a fiesta in every bite. Let's get to baking. Okay, let's start to make the Lamington cake, the vanilla cake. Now, it wouldn't be a Lamington without a cake. So this is a Mexican Lamington cake, and it's going to be super spicy and super good, you will see. But let's go ahead and start to get the cake ready. Before you do that, you might want to prepare your 8 by 8 inch tin. I have parchment paper in here, and I've just clipped down the sides. What's important is that you have, at least on 2 sides, a couple inches hangover so that you can pull the cake out easily. Now, if you have a loose bottom pan, that's not going to be an issue. Most people don't have that though. So we have this ready. We have it nice and greased down with some baking spray. It's ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get ready with our cake. All of the quantities for the recipe will be here on screen, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can get those in the description box below. Everything is there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by creaming our butter and our sugar. This is softened, unsalted butter and our granulated sugar. So let's just go ahead and get all that in there. And we're going to mix this on a medium speed for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's nice, soft, fluffy. Okay, it's been about 4 minutes and our butter and sugar are looking nice and creamed, nice and fluffy and creamed, as you can see. So now we're going to go ahead and add in our 3 eggs. I'm going to crack them into a bowl just to make sure that I'm not going to get any shell. Okay, and I got 1 more egg right here. That's 3 eggs, 3 large eggs. No eggshell in the bowl. Good job. Okay, so we've got 1 in the bowl, 1 egg in the bowl, and we're going to go ahead and mix that in. Okay, let's put in 1 more egg. There we go. Keep going. And the last egg. I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the bowl because we do have some sugar, flour, and egg creeping up on the side here a little bit. Make sure you get down to the very bottom of the bowl as well in case there's something hanging out down there. Okay. Let's just give this another mix. If it looks like your egg, butter, and sugar mixture is looking separated at this point or split, don't worry about it. It'll come together once you put in the flour. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put in the vanilla. Get that mixed in. That's in. See how nicely this sets down? All right, and I have my flour, my baking powder, and my salt all in here, and I'm going to just dump those into the cake flour. This is cake flour. Now, if you check my recipe in the description box below, I tell you how to make cake flour by adding a little bit of cornstarch to all-purpose flour, and you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and get that in. We're going to put 1/3 of the flour in, followed by some milk, and then another 1/3 of the flour, followed by the other half of the milk, and then we'll finish up with the last 1/3 of the flour. So that's how we're going to do it. That's about 1/3. Let's go ahead and mix that in. Okay, remember, once you start adding in the flour, you don't want to overmix because you don't want to develop the gluten and have a tough cake. Let's put in half of the milk. Put in another 1/3 of our dry ingredients. And just get those mixed in those ingredients mixed in until you see no more dry streaks. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape down the side of my bowl because I have a lot of flour, as you can see riding up here. No problem though, we just scrape it down and work that in. I'm going to go ahead and put in my second half of milk. And my last third of dry ingredients. And that's it. We have our cake batter ready. There you go. So we're just going to pop this into the tin and get it into the oven. Okay, we cleared up our space a little bit. Let's go ahead and get this cake batter into our 8 by 8 inch tin. We'll spread it out and we'll get it into the oven. Now, we're going to be baking this for about 25 to 30 minutes in a convection oven at about 330 degrees Fahrenheit and in a conventional oven about 350 Fahrenheit. I'll put all of those directions along with Celsius here below and also in the description box in the published recipe. So you have all the information that you need no matter where you live or whichever system you use, metrics or imperial. You'll have it all. We aim to please everybody. Okay, almost got all the batter in there. Just a little bit more here. Let's grab this. Okay, and I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit in my tin, making sure that I get it over into the corners. And now we're going to get this into the oven. So I'm going to put this in my oven and I'm going to bake it for 25 to 30 minutes. And I'm using convection oven, so I'm going to have that set, or it's actually preheated already at 330 Fahrenheit. So let's get it in. So while our cake is baking, let's go ahead and make our tres leches soak. We're going to use a half a cup of regular milk. So let's just get this in our saucepan. 1/2 cup. A half cup of evaporated milk, and a half cup of sweetened condensed milk. A half cup. So a half cup of all three milks. I'm going to get that in. Okay. And we are going to throw in a cinnamon stick and a 1/4 teaspoon of powdered ancho chili. Now this is a Mexican Lamington, so we're going to spice it up and make it really good. Now, in order to make this chili, all I did, because you might not find it in the store, and you can use any chili you want. You don't have to use the ancho. An ancho is actually a dried poblano chili. This is what it looks like. So all I did was I cut it open, I removed the stem, and I took all the seeds out, and I kind of pulled it apart into little pieces, and I baked it at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. And then I just stuck it into my immersion blender thing and chopped it and pulverized it, actually. You can use a spice grinder, a coffee grinder, anything to do that. This is also totally optional. You don't have to put it in, but we're putting it in. And once it comes to a simmer, we're going to turn off the heat and let it steep for about 10 minutes. Okay, so we have a couple things going on here. We just finished getting our tres leches soaked nice and steamy. It has the chili powder in there and it has a stick of cinnamon. And it's been steeping already for about 10 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and take out the cinnamon stick. Now, over to our cake. We just removed it from the oven, and so it's still really hot. We've tested it, and our toothpick comes out nice and clean, so we know it's done. So we're going to let this rest until it's cooled off here on the countertop, and then we're going to pop it into the fridge for about up to 2 hours. It'll just be easier to work with once we start to soak it if it's chilled. My cake has been in the fridge for a couple hours, and I brought it out and I leveled it off with my little cake leveler. Have it nice and squared off. Now I'm going to cut it into 16 squares and then soak it with our tres leche that has cinnamon and ancho chili in it. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to speed this up to get through here, cutting this into 16 pieces. There we go. I have 16 squares. This is a very long knife, as you can see, but it's excellent for cutting brownies because you can just really get down in there and cut nice and squared off, and you don't have to drag a knife through and make mistakes and that sort of thing. So I really love this. I will put a link in the description box below. Okay, now I'm just going to put a couple teaspoons each of this tres leches milk that we made that has the cinnamon and the ancho chili in it. Just going to put about 1 or 2 teaspoons on each square to soak in. Then we're going to pop this in the fridge to cool down a little bit. Okay, there we go. We've got our cake soaked with the tres leches, and we're going to pop this back into the fridge. While our tres leches cake, which is soaked with tres leches, our Mexican version, it is in the fridge chilling. So while that is chilling, we've cut it into the 16 cubes. We're going to go ahead and start to make our Mexican chocolate glaze. So I have some powdered sugar. I'm going to sift all these drier ingredients together. I have some cocoa powder, and I have a little bit of cinnamon. All of the quantities will be right here or in the recipe that's listed below. The link will be there. And a pinch of cayenne pepper. Just a couple little pinches, be fine. Let's put it all in there. Okay, so we're going to sift all this together into a nice big bowl. Perfect. And then just to make sure that it's nicely integrated, we're going to whisk it until it looks pretty uniform. So I think that's looking pretty good there. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to pull over my induction burner. And now we're going to do the wet ingredients. So let's turn this on about a medium heat. Okay, we'll put in our butter. It would help if I took off this. Okay, let's put in our butter. And we have our milk. That in there. And we have our piloncillo. Now this is a sugar, a Mexican sugar that's made from an unrefined cane. And in place of piloncillo, if you can't find it where you are, this is what it actually looks like. Let's see, here we go. Piloncillo, when you buy it in a Mexican grocery store, normally, but not always, will come in these little cone shapes, and you can just grate it. Sometimes you can find piloncillo already grated or granulated. You can buy that as well. So we have ours here ready. We're going to plop that in also. And we're going to get that to a nice simmer. So I'm just going to stir. So we're going to get that simmering. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got our liquid ingredients nice and hot, but we did not bring it to a boil. It just started to simmer a little bit and we turned it off. So now we're going to pour that into our dry ingredients and get it mixed in. Okay, our chocolate glaze is ready. All we have to do now is dump in our little bit of vanilla that we had sitting to the side, and that's it. I'm back with my Tres Leches cake squares, and I have my Mexican hot chocolate glaze sitting on a bain-marie so that it doesn't seize up or get cold. I've already tested one, so let's just take these little squares. I have 2 forks, and I'm just getting it into the chocolate and rolling it around to coat all the sides nicely. And then just pulling it out, letting some of the excess drip off. This can be a little messy, but that's okay. And then just putting them over here. All right, once we get them over here and we get some of the chocolate to drip off, I have some toasted coconut and some toasted zucchini seeds, I think pepitas. They're called pepitas. This is optional, you don't have to have it. But I toasted my coconut because I wanted a nice toasty flavor. Typically, Lamingtons have just regular coconut, not toasted, but I wanted to toast mine. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to roll them. I'm going to mix these together. I just wanted to show you separately. I'm going to mix my pepita and my toasted coconut together. And I'm just going to take these and roll them in the coconut pepita mixture. Just get them nice and coated. There we go. And there we have it. One's done. Okay, let's take this other one and we'll do the same thing. Roll it around in the coconut and pepita mixture. It'll stick nicely to the chocolate glaze, so you don't have to worry about that. And there we go. Don't these look great? Look at that. This is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish these, fast forward, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I finished rolling these in toasted coconut and toasted pepita seeds, and they are looking and smelling quite awesome. These are incredible looking Mexican Lamingtons. They've got chili, they've got cinnamon, they've got tres leches. These are Mexican. They might come from Australia, sort of, but these are very Mexican. All right, it's time to eat one. Oh my God. Well, I can't wait. I need a glass of milk. I don't have it, so we're just going to do it without milk. But this looks wonderful. So good. So good. The cake is really moist because it's tres leches, of course. And that toasted coconut and the chili that's in the tres leches, oh my God, this is awesome. These are so good. I might dare to say that these are better than the traditional Australian Lamingtons. I'll let you be the judge. Yum, yum. I hope you subscribed already by hitting that little button down there. But if you hadn't, go ahead and please do that now. And if you like this groovy recipe, how about trying this one right up here? I think you're going to like it too. Thanks for joining us today in the Mountaintop Kitchen. We'll see you next time.